I think there's a vast library of theory and empiricism which suggests that the first and most critical job of any and all leaders is to establish vision and culture within and around the organization. Another way to think about this is what we might call condition creating. It is a difficult thing to make the cycle of funding from state and federal offices doable, if you will. It can create a never-ending churn and actually short-circuit the implementation or adoption of practices or models. We pursue often any and all monies. We've talked about this a little bit yesterday, and we end up on a treadmill of money chasing, and then implementation never quite happening. This is a dynamic that will require change in parallel systems. We were pleased to have Tanya Lieberman from the Ledge office yesterday address us and manifest awareness about this, right? Like we have to start in parallel parts of the ecosystem so that we can unhandcuff ourselves, so to speak, from the grind and the bureaucracy that keeps us bridled, if you will. Let me share for a moment or two then just the 3 conditions for sustainable change in a nutshell. The first that comes to mind, and again, we've hit on all these on some level in the past 2 days, but one is have a plan, right? A plan can be as simple as a logic model and then some kind of a project management tool, ideally built on some form of evidence, even if it's implementation science in its highest form, right? Most basic form. But have a plan, write it down, and bring the plan back to your partners over and over and over again. Number 2, educate yourself and partners about the dollars in each other's systems. We had a fantastic panel this morning with Ken and Karen and orienting us to the richness of the funding streams that are now available there. We have a never-ending supply on some level, and we just have to orient ourselves continually to this dynamic because it's often changing. To that end, fostering relationships by and between budget managers, analysts, the folks that do your fiscal processes, introduce them to each other. It's not just program connections or leadership connections. You have to tie the budget folks together into a shared body of knowledge and awareness so that they can navigate that together and leverage one another. This is where the technical hiccups happen, right? We have great vision about how to leverage and blend and braid, but then someone in fiscal says, you can't do that. And what we need is fiscal folks who understand the vision enough to say, we will find a way to do it, even though the rules may say otherwise, right? Finally, third, nurture the relationships, invest in genuinely getting to know each other's people. Placer yesterday shared, you met Judge Nichols in my 9 years in Placer. She and I routinely had coffee before her calendar began, about every other month at a minimum, sometimes more often. And she would have frank conversations with me about, Richard, your behavioral health people are doing this and this. Our probation folks are doing this and this. Our public nurses are doing this and this, and can you help me with that from the court's perspective? And she, of course, was the chair of the policy board, the interagency leadership team, if you will, and it was a priceless relationship. So it's those informal relationships outside of your meetings that are often the most powerful.